We do statements. We break down statements. Statements in sports make me smile. Statements are things that we work on all the time. We release all the time. You have a PR department. You have a head of PR. You have a head of communications. You have a head of business communications. You have a head of baseball communications. And you take the time to try to formulate the best statement you can. Thank God for Nothing Personal's ratings. The statements that come out are generally poor because for whatever reason, owners or presidents or GMs, they're really not paying attention the way they should to statements. Well, the New York Rangers released a statement yesterday that I have never seen in 18 years. Not one time. And I thought, amusingly so, that I had seen it all. Tom Wilson is a player who is a dirty player. He's basically Nick Fotiu, I guess I would say. He's been suspended 25 times. He has had 25 10-plus penalty minutes in a regular season game, and that's the most in almost 10 years in the NHL. What else, Coca? He's been suspended 7 times, 7 games on March 5th. He had an incident on March 5th that he was suspended 7 games. In 2018, this same player was suspended for 20 games and 3 playoff games. We're talking about a guy that gets suspended. It's what he does. He's a guy who has dirty. Are they dirty, Coca, when you get suspended for it by definition? They're illegal. They are against the rules, so you get suspended or you get a penalty. So they're playing the New York Rangers, and Tom Wilson ends the season of one of the Rangers players. And that's that. And I figured that was that. Until I saw that the National Hockey League fined him $5,000 for the hit. And if you go back and look at this hit, you can Google it or get it on YouTube. He basically did something that is a crime if you're not in a uniform. I never understood. Once in a while, remember that, I'm going to get it wrong, Coca, and you're going to really have to lose your mind here. Was there a player named Donald Brashear? There was either a hit on a Brashear or Brashear did the hit where there may have been a criminal complaint against him, or it may not be Brashear at all. I have no idea why that's in my mind, but you can use the stick as a weapon, and you can actually be charged with assault for what you do in hockey. It was Brashear. I can't believe it. Why do I know that? Out of all the things I forget, that's in my mind. Donald Brashear slashed Marty McSorley. I didn't remember it was McSorley, and I believe he may have been charged. So this is 1999. Thank you, Coca. I can't believe you found it that quickly. So cut to, he's fined $5,000, Tom Wilson, for this hit. And all of a sudden, the Rangers released the following statement. I'm putting on my glasses. I want to read the entire statement because I've not seen one like this before. The New York Rangers are extremely disappointed that Capitals forward Tom Wilson was not suspended for his horrifying act of violence last night at Madison Square Garden. Wilson is a repeat offender with a long history of these types of acts, and we find it shocking that the NHL and their Department of Player Safety failed to take the appropriate action and suspend him indefinitely. In and of itself, that is a shocking statement. But it continues. Wilson's dangerous and reckless actions caused an injury that will prevent him from playing again this season. The injury was to Panarin. We view this as a dereliction of duty, wait for it, by NHL head of player safety, George Peros, and believe he is unfit to continue in his current role. I almost fell off my driving seat when I read that at a gas station. A member of a league released a statement calling for the firing of an employee in the commissioner's office. Now, you could dismiss this as being James Dolan related. Absolutely. And you know, as the owner of MSG and the Knicks and the Rangers, that you've all had your issues with him. You could say that James Dolan was angry enough that he wanted Peros to be fired. But there's no way the owner, even Dolan, would want a statement like that out there. It makes no sense. The appropriate action when you are a team and you have had something happen that you do not agree with is you pick up the phone, you start with the Joe Torre, or you start with the head of on-field operations in hockey, and then you move all the way on up through Bill Daly, the deputy commissioner, Dan Hallam in baseball, and then you get to Gary Bettman. Rob Manfred of baseball is Gary Bettman in hockey. You call and you plead your case, and you get an explanation why the decision was made the way it was. If you do that and you still feel as though you are not satisfied, then you go to other owners and you talk about what happened and whether or not you believe and they agree with you that a change should be made within the commissioner's office, whether it's firing the commissioner all the way down to an employee 10 levels before. And the reason you do that is that if you have enough owners who agree with you because they're worried about the safety of their own players, they're worried about hockey in general, even though they just signed a new TV deal and things are definitely a little better, but they're still worried. You get momentum to make a change in the commissioner's office. You don't do it in the media. And remember, the media can be used to manipulate a situation with players. It can be used to do all sorts of things in collective bargaining. You can use the media to accomplish so many positive things. You are not going to succeed in having a change made in a commissioner's office by releasing a statement like that. Because what the commissioner's office will do is they will double down. And the reason they will double down and keep George Peros is you cannot, under any circumstance, if you are the commissioner of your sport, allow a decision to be made that comes from pressure that is made through the media. Because then you've opened Pandora's box and you're completely screwed. Because now teams know, forget going through proper channels, forget trying to get 3/4 of the owners to agree on something. Now all I have to do is go to the media, make sure there's a lot of outrage, embarrass the heck out of you, and then you're going to make a change. Can't do it. Simply cannot do it. What is the responsibility for the NHL Department of Player Safety, and why is George Peros' job secure, in my opinion? It's all about making sure that you are providing a deterrent against future behavior. You want to make sure that all players and the union understand very clearly what's allowed, what's not allowed, and what the penalty and ramifications will be. And when you are the director of player safety, when you are in charge of meting out discipline, and it just happened in baseball when Amir Garrett got suspended for 7 games for what he did against the Cubs. When you are making decisions on discipline, whether it's a fine all the way up to a suspension, you take every individual situation, you compare it to previous situations and what you've done in those situations, because you have to have consistency. Consistency is what you want when you are a front office, so you can explain to your players what is going to happen at a particular time if you do a particular thing. If you cause a bench clearing brawl, if you leave the bullpen, in the NBA, if you leave the bench, you know very well what the rules are on what kind of punishments can be handed out under what sort of scenarios. You know that there's a collective bargaining agreement that indicates what a player can be fined under certain circumstances, what a player can be, how long a suspension can be. You know it because of what's happened previously and what's contained in the CBA. So what would cause the Rangers to go rogue like this? Is it the culmination of frustration? Is it the reality that their player's out for the year? It's happened to me. We've had injuries. We've had plays at the plate. We've had issues with bad calls with umpires. We've had all sorts of things happen. And all I would do in the media is respond with what I learned by talking to Joe Torre or Bud Selig or Rod Manfred, and then say my own opinion of how I disagree. but I would never call for the firing of Torrey or Seelig or even someone lower than that in the media. Even you simply would not do it.